YouTube, and welcome to the first episode of Mommin Ain't Easy. I'm excited to finally get this started. For those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, this is a series for mothers where we can come together as a community and just laugh, cry, and really be transparent. If you want more info on this series that I'm starting, you can check out my previous video. So yeah, I don't want to talk too long, so let's get started. So I thought to myself, what could be a good way to start this series? And the first thing that came to mind was to tell my pregnancy story. But on Friday, while I was taking the kids to school, well, on the way back home, it was kind of placed on my heart to really start where it all began, and that was not my pregnancy story. It is with my mother. So yeah, with that being said, so when I think about Mommin Ain't Easy, I really just want to take it back to where I've seen my mom work as hard as she could to provide for my brother and I. And in the midst of it all, she was sick, and she loved to dance, you know. She was such a beautiful spirit, and you know, I only got to enjoy 9 years with her. I'm sorry, it's like a little nerve-wracking kind of talking about this because I really don't like to dig that deep, but just bear with me. My mother always had a place to live. You know, we always had a place to live. She's always had a car. She was always working, you know, even through her illness. And I seen her pushing really hard, and I told myself that, you know, and she was in her 20s when she was doing this, and I told myself that I want to be the mom that my mother didn't get a chance to be. It was so crazy because I didn't even know she was sick until one night. She woke up in the middle of the night and she couldn't keep anything down. I mean, something in me felt like something was wrong. And, you know, I was really young, so I didn't really ask any questions. I was really afraid. And she still found a way to be my mother. She still found a way to parent my brother and I, being a single mom at the time. She did marry my stepdad, but for as long as I can remember, we lived with just her, my brother, and I. And, you know, she was perfect. I mean, you know, she made sure that my hair was always done, our clothes were always clean. You know, we were very well put together. She dressed beautifully. And so when my mom passed, I was 9 years old, and she passed, my birthday is in May, and she passed that August. The time that I was 8, turning 9, is when I really knew that she was sick. And so I remember her ending up being hospitalized, and I had to stay with my grandmother. And I remember her making a phone call to me while I was at my grandmother's, and I was downstairs in the den, and I was sitting, there was a bed down there, and I was sitting on the bed and I was on the phone with her. And I remember her pushing through, sounding really sick. I can't remember her voice, but I remember the basis of the conversation. And I remember her pushing through and just saying, you know, Dracia, you're going to be okay. You know, everything's going to be all right. You don't have to worry. But me, I'm hysterical when I cry, and even to this day I am still very hysterical when I cry. There's no in between. I kept crying and I'm crying and I'm crying because I want my mother, and I'm like, man, I want my mother to come home. I don't want to, you know, not that I didn't want to be with my grandmother, but I was 9, you know, I wanted my mother. And I remember her saying to me, Dracia, I'm trying to talk to you, and if you don't stop crying, then I cannot talk over you. And I remember, and I couldn't stop because I heard how weak she was in her voice. And I'm just like, I wish I could make her feel better, you know? But I couldn't. So she said, Adresha, if you don't stop crying, I have to hang up because I cannot talk over you. But she was just so strong. She was so strong. And, you know, sorry guys, let me pull myself together. So I went, so I remember, I don't remember if it was like the same week, the same day, or what it was, but I went to, my dad's house, and I went to go spend the night with him. And I remember that night he asked me, he was like, Dresha, you know, do you want to go to the hospital tomorrow to visit your mom? And, you know, I'm excited. You know, I'm 9. I'm excited. I'm bouncing off the walls. Like, yeah, I want to see my mom. I haven't seen her in like a week, 2 weeks or something like that. So I went to sleep. I slept in the room with my dad that night. And I was so excited. And the next morning, I believe he tried to wake me up. And I woke up and he was like, Dresha, we can't go to visit your mom. And I remember just looking at him like a puppy when a puppy is trying to understand what its owner is trying to say to him. And I'm like, you know, in my head, Dad, what do you mean? And he's like, your mom, you know, he said the words that I was always dreading to hear. He was like, your mom, she's up in the clouds now. She's gone. And I'm like, it just, I couldn't understand it. I was just like, did I do something? Was it because she wanted to talk to me and she had nobody to talk to? So I remember just crying and crying and crying because now I am a child without my mother. And my little brother was 3 at the time and he wouldn't even know her. And you know, it was the worst day of my life. But to wrap it all up, it made me the person that I am today. You know, the strong, confident woman, you know, who is still on the search, you know, to get in touch with everything life has to offer. You know, womanhood, being more feminine, just really trying to push myself to be everything my mom was, but more. The part of her that she couldn't be, that I knew that she wanted to be. And, you know, my mom, she gave up. She didn't want to fight her illness anymore, so she stopped taking her meds. And, you know, and it's funny because I've been trying to figure out what this thing is that I'm holding on to that's stopping me from moving forward. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But in instances where I'm going through things maybe in my relationship or, you know, with relationships with all different types of people in general, it doesn't have to necessarily be my significant other, but those moments always make me dig deep. And those are the moments that God always shows me or reveals things that I didn't remember. And on the way home from dropping my kids off to school, I remembered that I remembered on Friday that I was holding on to the fact that I thought that it was my fault that she died, because I felt like, what if I was stronger for her? Would she still have given up? What if I didn't cry on the phone that day? Would she still fight to be here with me? And you know what? I'll never know. But I'm glad that it was revealed. I'm glad that God allowed me to dig deep. And I'm thankful for who she was, and I'm thankful for still carrying around a piece of her. And I know for a fact she'll be very proud of the woman I am today. And yeah. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was very hard for me because I don't really like to talk about my mom, but this is all a stepping stone, and you know, I know talking about it more will definitely generate me to be the woman that I'm designed to be. With that being said, I want you ladies to remember that your situation does not define who you are or who you're going to turn out to be. The choice is yours, and you know, hopefully you make the right one, and join me on this journey to becoming the captivating woman that we were designed to be. So with that being said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. If there are any topics you want me to talk about specifically, just leave them in the comment box or email me at mommyinspires@gmail.com. So yeah, I will see you in the next episode of Mommin Ain't Easy. Thanks for watching.